On Tech News Today, Facebook's drone program is ready to take flight. A popular tablet is so hot, it's catching fire and being recalled. And we'll tell you about the major Japanese electronics giant who's calling it quits and going home. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, July 31st, 2015. This episode is brought to you by Intel. Small business owners can't afford to choose between A or B. If both help your business, you want A and B. With Intel-powered 2-in-1s, you get performance and mobility, power and freedom. That's the power of and. Experience it at smallbusiness.intel.com. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with the journalists who report it. My name is Mike Elgan. Christina Warren is off today, so let's jump right into the high-flying news. Facebook has finished building its first drone and plans to start test flights very soon. Alice Trong writes for Quartz and joins us now to tell us all about it. Welcome to the show, Alice Trong.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, the purpose of Facebook's drones, of course, is to relay internet access to far-flung communities like Google's Loom Balloons do, right? I mean, Google recently was in the news this week for actually rolling this out in an actual country, which is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka actually announced the news. And now Facebook is in the news because they're going to start test flying these drones. Is that the one and only purpose for these drones, to relay the internet to areas that might not otherwise get it?
Well, as Mark Zuckerberg and a number of execs have said in the past, you know, Facebook's mission is to connect everybody in the world. And so this is one of the ways to do so. And inevitably, it will probably have an effect on Facebook's user numbers as well. And so there's that goal as well to keep in mind. It might seem like a very noble cause on the surface, and it could be, but there is definitely a motive behind it as well.
Money, I think, is the motive. Of course, this is Silicon Valley we're talking about here. Now, it's really interesting. I was writing a column this morning about Facebook and Twitter. And, you know, if you add up all of Facebook's major products, you know, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, it adds up to 3.3 billion people. Now, there's tons and tons of overlap there. Obviously, they don't have 3.3 billion actual humans who are using their products, but they have way more users than anybody else. They add more than 2 MySpaces a year. That's MySpace at its peak in 2008. Every single year, they're growing like crazy. And as you say, in order for them to continue to grow, they're going to have to invent new users. They're going to have to bring the internet to people who don't have it, make it cheaper, make it faster, and do all the things. Of course, you know, what good is a Facebook user if they can't get the video ads and all the rest? So, so this kind of sort of makes sense, or at least the goal makes sense. Now, can you tell us about the drone itself? As an aircraft, what is this thing like? How big is it, for example? How heavy is it? That sort of thing.
Sure. So Aquila is supposed to have the same wingspan as a Boeing 737, which is, I think, roughly 130 feet. And at the same time, it weighs about 888 pounds. It might be a little bit more when they, you know, finalize the, you know, when it's actually like ready for takeoff. But, you know, they're saying between 880 and 1,000 pounds. Which is, I think, roughly a third of the Prius, of a Toyota Prius, according to the executives. So it's a very, very large, you know, vehicle, but very, very light in comparison. And most of the weight's going to come from, you know, the body itself. It's carbon fiber body. It's supposed to be very light, but it's going to need a lot of batteries, and it's covered with solar panels to keep it up in the air for, ideally, up to 3 months. And then the actual equipment to, you know, beam the internet down to people on the ground is going to weigh about 50 pounds in total.
Wow. Okay, so how much do we know about that equipment, the data connectivity? Is this going to be a fast internet connection? Is it going to cover a wide area? How does this data connection system work?
So it's really interesting. There's going to be a ground-based fiber connection that's going to be beamed via lasers to Aquila.
Should use
or
air quotes when you say lasers, please. Thank you.
And the plane itself is going to be able to fly within a path of about 3 kilometers and beam the connection to about a radius of 50 miles. And that plane will also be able to beam the connection to other nearby planes. And so there's sort of this network effect. But, it's funny that you bring up Project Loon from Google, because Aquila, in order to cut down on its weight, doesn't have any landing or takeoff gear. And so it's going to actually be brought up to about 60,000 feet in elevation via a giant helium balloon. And then, when it's run its 3-month course, it's going to actually just kind of glide down slowly to the ground.
Wow, it seems so elaborate. And just to cover a 50 square mile area, I assume that's what it'll be able to cover. In order to cover a country like, say, Sri Lanka, which Google's doing with Loon, they would need a huge fleet of these things in the air. They'd be constantly landing and taking off. It sounds expensive, difficult. It sounds like it's going to take a lot of technology and manpower. It sounds like it's going to take a lot of air traffic control, coordination, and lots of effort, all to sell, ads for eyeglasses and weight loss pills and stuff like that on Facebook. I guess that's the outcome. How seriously is this project taken? I mean, I think that when Project Loon was first proposed, nobody took it seriously. People kind of laughing. Oh yeah, they're going to have balloons like delivering the internet. Yeah, right. But now they're doing it. So how seriously do you think people are generally taking Facebook's efforts here?
Oh, yeah. So, all of these things seem crazy wild, right? But to both of these companies, these represent solutions that are, I don't know if easier is the correct word, but definitely faster to deploy than to, lay out cables. This is, how they're going to do it. So it's actually kind of funny timing, because today is the 1-year anniversary of internet.org, which Facebook has launched in some countries. I think it's 17 countries, to provide connectivity. And this is through partnerships with telecom companies. And so, this is something that's already in existence. The drone itself is something that, will be, is undergoing structural testing itself. But, the part of Facebook's plans are already in motion. So it seems like there's a lot of commitment to it, and there's been a lot of investment into it. So I actually missed one of your questions earlier, which is how fast is the internet? Facebook said it's supposed to be 10 gigabits per second, which is about an order of magnitude faster than what's currently available, what you can beam through, a connection you can beam through the air. So yeah, I mean, the plan seems very elaborate, and maybe it seems like there's a lot of investment and effort that goes into it that hopefully all the pieces come together. But it's still very, very, very early. Must say that.
Yeah, it is. And of course, he also bought Oculus and a bunch of other things. To be a 30-year-old billionaire must be nice. And I hope that this thing really works, because it's really a cool idea, and people need the internet. So we'll see how they do there. Alice Trong is at QZ.com. That's the Quartz website, and also on Twitter at Alice Trong. Trong is spelled Truong. Thank you so much for joining us today, Alice.
Thanks. Chat with you later.
All right, bye-bye. All right, got some more news for you coming right up. But first, let's talk about your small business. Let's talk about Intel, one of our sponsors today. Now, Intel makes the brains behind one of the hottest categories in technology today, which is the 2-in-1 category. You'll see lots of the top companies in Silicon Valley and around the world building 2-in-1s based on Intel's 2-in-1 technology. It's powered by Intel's latest family of core processors. You can impress your clients at the touch of a tablet and handle robust programs on the go. A couple of years ago, the thing that everybody was doing was they were buying a tablet. And of course, you also need a PC or a laptop. And so they're buying one of those as well. The tablets were underpowered. The laptops weren't as flexible as they might be for some people. And so Intel is solving that with this 2-in-1 technology, because you can have it all in a single device. It can be a tablet when you want a tablet. It can be a powerful laptop when you need a laptop. Great battery life, amazing performance. And it's just a no-compromises solution for small businesses based on 5th-generation Intel Core processors. Such good technology. And of course, it's Intel, and this is some of the most innovative devices that you're going to find in the market today. Experience the power of and. Visit smallbusiness.intel.com and find out how Intel-powered 2-in-1s can improve your small business. That's smallbusiness.intel.com. And we thank Intel for their support of Tech News Today and for their awesome 2-in-1 technology. The creator of a Facebook-related tool called Who Deleted Me, which, as you might have guessed, tells you who deleted you, says he was bullied by Facebook. Nate Swanner wrote about it for The Next Web and joins us now. Welcome to the show, Nate.
Hey, Mike.
So glad you're here. I think this is the first time you've been on Tech News Today, and so I'm especially glad that you're here today. Now, who is this developer, and what did he tell you about Facebook's reaction to his app?
Who is he? He's just an independent developer. He decided to make something that would just kind of automate the process of what you could do anyway. What his tool did was scrape your friends list, kind of compare and contrast who was your friend, who is your friend now. That way it could tell who deleted you. We wrote about it initially on the 7th of July. Facebook actually sent him a cease and desist letter that day, and he got a letter from their legal team 3 days later.
It's really kind of an odd thing. Now, this was based on the fact that he didn't use their APIs, right? Is that what their main objection? He didn't use the Facebook APIs?
That's basically the crux of the argument. Was they kind of mandate that anybody that's going to make anything that taps into Facebook at all has to use an API of theirs. He didn't use their API. His understanding was that by not using the API, he wasn't really kind of locked into their rules. But in reality, not using the API is what kind of got him in trouble in the first place.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd thing. And even if he did use their APIs, they wouldn't have let him do it, right? Because don't they have a prohibition on any sort of software that tells people who deleted people?
Yeah, the funny part is, I think it's in their terms of service. I believe it's Rule 4.4. There's actually a picture associated with that rule that says you cannot compare who was your friend and who isn't your friend now. So, I mean, across the board, there's like no way that this could have happened, even if he used an API.
It's funny because, I mean, and I don't mean this to sound too critical. I've been a pretty harsh critic of Facebook in general. But BS is kind of part of their business model here. They want people to be ignorant about certain things. For example, they famously have an algorithmic sorting or filtering of newsfeed content. If you don't change the settings in Facebook, you get a tiny minority of the posts that your friends that you followed have actually posted. But at the same time, when you post things, you kind of psychologically believe that it's going to everyone who's following you, and it's not. And that ignorance, it kind of helps people like Facebook better. And this is another example of that. They let you delete, they let you stop following people secretly, so they sort of erase the discomfort from publicly saying, I'm going to stop following you, I'm tired of you, you know, when it could be a coworker or an old college friend or something like that. So you can do that without them knowing, and that's why they don't want people to know, because it gives people information that Facebook wants to keep people ignorant about. Is that fair to say, do you think, or am I being too critical?
No, I think that's fair to say. I mean, they want you to kind of have this, there's like this patina of everything's happy and good. And you know, really for me, this kind of turned into a PSA. I mean, Facebook took it from 0 to 100 real quick on this. You know, it went from, hey, here's this cool app that one guy created, to here's a letter from our legal department that says you are breaking the law. I mean, you know, there was very little room between, you know, oh, there's just this guy who's kind of ignorant of our rules. You know, there was no malice involved. He was just kind of creating a tool he thought was useful.
Well,
and
it
was super popular.
Yeah, and also there's a case to be made that your friends is your information, not Facebook's information, right. Not using the API. I mean, it's a reasonable thing that he said there. Now, you mentioned that Facebook told him that he may have broken the law. Is there any basis to that at all?
Well, the funny part is the letter he got from their legal department, which I was able to take a look at, in bold letters, right in the middle, it says, this is illegal and you must stop immediately. And then further down, it says, you might be breaking the law according to, you know, these statutes. I looked up the statutes, let me find out which one I'm actually talking about. California Comprehensive Computer Data Access and Fraud Act does, at least by the letter of the law, give Facebook kind of a basis for saying, yeah, you did, because there's language in there that you can't access, information that was legally created without authorization. So there's a basis there, but I mean, it's also like, is Facebook really going to sue this guy who just created this tool he thought was cool? I mean,
yeah.
that would be kind of jumping the shark on
Pro
that.
tip for you independent developers, you don't want to go to court against Facebook. Just saying. So they didn't stop there, right? They somehow blocked the app from functioning, and then they did something else. What did they do?
Well, first they told him, they scared him into shutting his app down. And then they disabled his personal account and the personal account of a friend who, according to Kusky, the developer, had nothing to do with the app. He was just kind of listed on the website somewhere. So they, Facebook kind of looked at the website, said, oh, these are the guys responsible, and blocked them both from using Facebook. They had to jump through some hoops to get their accounts reactivated, but at this point, it's basically read only. I mean, they can't comment on things. There you go. Can't like things, can't comment, can't tag, and they both are prohibited from using Facebook's APIs forever.
Not that they used them in the first place. So, this is really kind of weird, and it feels to me, of course, nobody can see behind the curtain, but it feels to me like they have some sort of rapid response crew that goes around looking for this kind of problem, shut down everybody who might be involved, and then later on sort it out, fix it. We've seen this in other cases where people, they've taken really quick action against people, just blocking, stopping them from doing what they're doing. And then when people complain and petition and so on, then they'll sort of think about it and grudgingly maybe give them their accounts back. But this is really quite an astonishing turn of events. I mean, it sounds to me like an innocent mistake. This thing was actually a pretty hot app too. You guys wrote about it. It was kind of viral for a while. I saw a lot of people talking about it on Twitter. So that's probably one of the things that made them take such quick action. They want to nip that one in the bud. So very interesting story. Nate Swanner is at thenextweb.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at Nate Swanner. Nate, thank you so much for joining us today on Tech News Today.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Nvidia has recalled 88,000 Shield tablets sold in the United States and 5,000 sold in Canada because of a risk they could overheat and start a fire. 8-inch Shield tablets sold since July 2014 have a battery that overheats. Nvidia is calling on these customers to back up their data, stop using the tablets, and go to an online forum to ask for a replacement. Go to tabletrecall.expertproductinquiry.com if you think you may have one of these, like Jason Clancy's has. And of course, if anything happens, we are ready here at Tech News Today, as always. So, sorry, Jason, it's a piece of junk. You need to get another one. And, this has always been a pretty hot tablet. So, ba-dum-bump, exactly. Well, most big Silicon Valley tech companies talk about diversity, but Pinterest really intends to do something about it. The company is creating a lab for testing new strategies to create diversity and inclusion. They're also making their diversity goals public, as well as how they do against those goals. So it's pretty brave. Right now, Pinterest does better than most in the Valley on gender. 42% of employees are women, but that number drops to 19% when you get to the engineering department. About half of Pinterest employees are white, and about 43% are Asian, according to the company. In leadership roles, white and Asian executives are about even, with 47% and 42% respectively. Now, here's where it really gets bad. Just 1% of Pinterest employees are African American, and just 2% are Hispanic. And this is in the state of California, where Hispanics became the majority earlier this month. So we'll be watching them to see if they continue to report their numbers and see how they do. Other companies have tried this. Facebook did, Google did. They made a big splash. They said, we're going to do a big push and improve our diversity numbers. A year went by, and they barely budged those numbers. So it's a very, very difficult problem. Well, in product update news, BuzzFeed is reporting that Apple intends to announce its next generation Apple TV in September at the iPhone 6s launch. Rumors and reports suggest that the next Apple TV will have a touchpad remote, Siri voice control, and a new SDK and App Store. And I also expect it to have HomeKit integration so that you can sort of use HomeKit through your phone, through the TV as a hub to control all of your random HomeKit supporting devices. Well, in product obituary news, the Japanese electronics company Sharp announced plans to exit the Americas. That means they'll stop selling TVs in the United States and sell off their TV factory in Mexico. You'll still see Sharp TVs on sale, though, and that's because Sharp will license its brand to the Chinese company Hisense, which will make Hisense TVs and brand them as Sharp TVs. I don't really understand that. Is Sharp such a hot brand that I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I think people are buying on quality and price, and I don't think the Sharp label is really going to sell a whole lot of TVs. We have some more tech news coming right up, but first, let's talk about ZipRecruiter. If you want to succeed in life, if you want to succeed with your small business, in your career, in your hiring, in your department, you need to hire the right people. You need to always surround yourself with the very best people you can. That's why Twit's so successful, because we have such great people, and we use ZipRecruiter to hire as well. So ZipRecruiter is, of course, one of our sponsors, and they tell me that summer is the best time of year to hire, and they would know. They're the experts on hiring. The thing about hiring is it's super, super time consuming. People are scattered all over the world, all over the internet, and you never know where to go to find them. Until now, you go to ZipRecruiter because you can post to 100+ job sites, including social networks, with a single click. And you can also scan their 4 million resume database. So you can just go hunting for people right there in their resume database. And of course, if you've got a resume out there, if you're a highly qualified professional, you need to be in that database as well. So all you do with ZipRecruiter is you post once, and within 24 hours, the candidates come rolling in. ZipRecruiter has been used by more than 400,000 businesses. And it's not just recruiting sites. You can also post automatically to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google+. You can even automatically tweet your job posts out on Twitter. And you can try it now for free. We have a testimonial from a user of ZipRecruiter, a woman named Stephanie, who said, ZipRecruiter is affordable and so easy to use. I can write, edit, and change out my job openings very easily. When I've had questions, their customer service team has been outstanding, patient, and knowledgeable. I hear that a lot, actually. I've done a lot of hiring already via ZipRecruiter and intend to continue doing so. Today, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/TNT. That's ZipRecruiter.com/TNT and find out how to get those 4 days of free. And you can do some hires in 4 days, and all for free. And we thank ZipRecruiter for their support of Tech News Today. In the Human Resources Department, we reported recently on the moderator revolt at Reddit after AMA coordinator Victoria Taylor left the company. Now she just got a new job at WeWork as their first ever Director of Digital Community, whatever that is. WeWork is a company that rents co-working office space, and in fact, Reddit's New York office has been based out of WeWork's Soho West space for years. So she's going to be continuing to work with Reddit colleagues right there in the building. Very interesting. Well, we have a big number for you today, 14 million. That's how many people installed Windows 10 within the first 24 hours of its limited release, according to Microsoft. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's hard to tell. It wasn't open and available to everyone. So I guess that's a pretty good number, considering it was a limited release. Well, in news you can lose, a new charging station for phones and tablets looks just like a toaster. It's called, what else? The Phoster. And it charges phones and tablets, including Android and iOS, all at the same time. Let's watch the company's video.
That tangly mess of white wires that crops up wherever we charge our devices. Cord spaghetti is slowly taking over our homes and offices. We've been on a 2-year quest to eliminate cord spaghetti. The result of this pursuit is Phoster.
Cord spaghetti, now I'm getting hungry.
Phoster is a toaster for your phones and your tablets. Phoster charges up to 4 devices at the same time.
But wait, you say, where does the tablet go?
Minimal package that looks great. Phoster has a built-in power supply that charges each device at up to 2.4 amps. This means that Phoster has just one cord to plug in, and your devices will be juiced up in no time. Phoster's power supply automatically switches from 110 volts through 240 volts, so it's compatible internationally. Phoster's 2 main slots are designed to accommodate most smartphones with screens up to 5 inches. Need to charge your iPad, tablet, or phablet? Simply push down on Phoster's knob. The side panels pop out, revealing 2 tablet charging slots. Live in a 4-phone household? You can also use the outer slots to charge phones. Phoster comes with 4 proprietary cable adapters that accept your Apple Lightning cables. Just insert your cables into the adapters, snap them into Phoster, plug them into Phoster's power supply, and you're ready to go.
Yeah,
Charge
don't
iPhone
do the
5,
wrong toaster.
5C,
Make sure it's a
5S,
Foster.
and even the new
when you're
iPhone
putting your
6
fingers in
and
it.
6 Plus. Foster will also charge the iPad mini, iPad Air, and the 5th Gen iPod Touch. Are you an Android-toting rebel, or do you still have older Apple devices? No worries. There are adapters available to convert each of Foster's slots to micro USB or Apple's 30-pin connector. With Foster, Apple and Android can finally peacefully coexist. Done charging?
All right, I've had enough of
Lift
this,
your device
these
out of
guys.
Foster.
Very interesting. The Foster will become available for pre-order soon. We don't know the price yet. And by the way, it won't make toast. If you want to make toast, just use your Nvidia Shield tablet. Sorry, Jason. Our TNT fan of the day is Iron Cape Man, Brendan Kerr, who posted this picture on Instagram. He says he watches TNT at his desk, which was a gift from his grandpa. I think he's the youngest TNT fan of the day we've ever had. I don't know how old he is, but he's not very old. He's a kid, really smart kid with a really nice grandpa. Show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or take a picture of yourself or your setup or the desk that was given to you by your grandpa and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook, and use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. You can subscribe to Tech News Today at twit.tv/TNT and get lots of information as well. You can also watch us live every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1700 UTC at twit.tv/live. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TechNewsTodayTV. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Mike Elgan, E-L-G-A-N. And don't miss our other news show, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific every single weeknight. Tonight's guest, Harrison Weber from VentureBeat. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Tech News Today. This show is produced by Jason Cleanthes and edited by Brian Burnett. My name is Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Monday.